In life, there's always going to need to be things that you need to fix or replace. You're going to eventually need to change the oil in your car. Your favorite pen will run out of ink and you'll need to get new ink or a new pen. All the food in your house will either expire and you'll throw it out, or you'll eat it all. You gluttonous monster, learn photosynthesis like a real man. But there's one thing that absolutely needs some fixing that often gets neglected and not spoken about as much, but it's equally as important as everything else. Your tailbone. Tailbones only have a certain amount of mileage on them before they need a little sprucing up, spritzing a little WD-40 on them so they can keep running well. And that's where tailbone adjustments come into play, a crucial component of overall health and wellness recommended by every scientific expert under the sun. I'm sure all of you know oodles about tailbone adjustments. They're a standard procedure. And recently, a video has been popping up all over the place with people making fun of just a good old-fashioned tailbone adjustment, and well, I tell you, sports fans, I found it sickening. You know, yes, a tailbone adjustment may not be the prettiest thing in the world, but sometimes the most important jobs are the dirtiest. I wish there wasn't music in here so we could hear more of the action, because that noise that briefly broke through the music that sounded like the Ed, Edd n Eddy crashing sound effect, like a fucking explosion of carnage, I am curious what that was. So, this is a tailbone adjustment, and based on the little bit of research I did, it's something chiropractors do occasionally with coccyx manipulation. Though I don't think she's necessarily using textbook protocol here. This isn't the technique that I've seen the others employ. She's just fingering his asshole and nothing else. She's in there like putting a whole thumb in there. It almost looked like she was going to go work him like a fucking puppet, like a ventriloquist act, where she was going to shove her whole hand up his ass. I also just can't comprehend that how this guy is being such a brave warrior about this, because his butthole's getting tickled. Like, how is he not squirming going, oh, like, how is that, like, how is he able to just sit still during all of that? That has to be remarkably uncomfortable and downright painful, the way that she's, like, pushing on it and she's, like, slapping up on it a little bit, too. Like, that's gotta hurt a lot. It's like she was trying to break a fucking dry spaghetti noodle with his tailbone here.
Body ko relax muna, time ni na.
This is actually the maneuver Naruto used with the 1,000 Years of Death. So she's just getting in there with one of these the whole time. Now, of course, she's also at risk here, too. She's in the splash zone of a fart. So this is dangerous to both parties, no doubt. But I just cannot get over what she's even trying to accomplish here. She also does, like, this flourish with her hand, like it's a magic trick or something. So she's doing this over his butthole. Maybe there was a little bit of flatulence there and she was wafting it away from her workspace. I also feel like the last thing being manipulated during this procedure is his tailbone. It seems like most of the business is going right into the ass crack and nowhere else. Like, I feel like he comes in there saying, like, hey, it kind of hurts when I sit a little bit. She bends him over and then just starts like fucking speed bagging in his anus. And he's like, what the fuck? How is this helping my sitting problem? All it's doing is shoving my pants and boxers into my colon. I can sense his relief from here. Nothing quite like getting your tailbone cranked on. Man was taking some brutal back shots to the spine there. That was rough. It doesn't seem to be a super common thing chiropractors will offer, because I've only seen a handful of videos with it, and I'd like to share a couple of them with you because they're very interesting. Now, in this tailbone adjustment, there's more questions than answers. Why is there a towel draped over the patient's tuchus this time around? Is this a tool they use if the patient is at high risk for shitting? Were they a potential poop hazard, so they threw the towel down for an extra layer of security? But wouldn't then that also diminish the ability to adjust the tailbone? In fact, I would argue that it increases the risk of injury to the patient because now, in order to breach the towel, the pants, and the undergarments, you will need to exert even more force onto the tailbone. So that you're putting even more pressure there, which I feel like could make it more likely to injure them. Now, of course, looking at the angle of attack here, the angle of azimuth, it doesn't seem like they're going directly on the tailbone. It looks more like they're trying to like surprise attack it, like with a pincer maneuver with two fingers, where they're going like they're riding up the chocolate starfish and then kind of flanking the tailbone almost. So I guess maybe if they're just putting more pressure on that, it wouldn't be as painful or like risk injury. I don't know. There's so many things I don't quite understand about the elaborate art of tailbone adjustments. It looks like they're trying to use a car jack in the ass. It's like when you're trying to fish something out of the drain that just fell down the sink or something. Is this really the only way? Is there nothing more effective? Also, this patient's nearly bare ass. They're in their boxers here. So what dictates what clothes will be appropriate when getting into the butt tickling? You know what I mean? Why is this patient in their boxers, but the first patient was in just pants, and the second patient in pants plus a towel on top? So, like, what really drives that decision?
Alle Beine gleichzeitig hochheben, richtig gestreckt und richtig halten. Zusammendrücken noch.
My brother, that wasn't her tailbone cracking, that's a toot. She broke wind. Which I think is totally normal given the position here of a tailbone adjustment. But this was a very different technique. So this one didn't deal with any kind of fingers and any orifices here. This time he spread her legs like a Thanksgiving turkey and then just pushed them to the side, I guess, for the tailbone adjustment relief stuff. I don't know. It seems like there's a big discrepancy between what techniques are used by what chiropractors. I don't really know. All I know is probably doesn't feel that good. I don't think there's a whole lot of relief that comes from a tailbone adjustment visit. You probably go there with a little tailbone pain and you walk out waddling because your ass has just been violated. Like, that's... I feel like you're gonna leave with more problems than you arrived there with. But, you know, maybe that's just spoken like a non-believer that hasn't had his tailbone worked on, you know what I mean? And I don't think I'm gonna be rushing out there to book a tailbone adjustment appointment anytime soon. Don't really want to do that. If I ever wanted to have a finger in my butt, I'd just do it myself. I mean, I can do that. I don't want to, though. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about this because I saw the video being thrown around all over the place and I was giggling about it. So yeah, that's really about it. See ya.